Hi everyone, my name is Macy Simmons. I am a second year graduate student at USM. So right now I'm getting my master's in epidemiology and biostatistics, and I am expected to graduate in the fall. So my undergraduate career was in policy and administration, and then I also minored in biology and chemistry. I've worked at two healthcare clinics, and those both gave me really good background information for understanding both the personal and public health level. So those kind of gave me a background in research, clinical, and administrative sides of the healthcare field. So when I was watching the presentation, I thought it was really interesting, especially the data that was given on age groups and mortality. So I thought that it was specifically interesting that those who were older than 75 had lower mortality rates in the US than when compared to high income countries. But those who were below the age of 75, when they were compared, their mortality rates were compared to other high income countries, that they were way higher in the US. And so I think that really is really interesting, and it highlights what the healthcare system in the US focuses on, which is mostly treatment of disease. And we have had an increase in research in geriatrics and anti-aging. And so I think that really showcases what the US healthcare field focuses on. I also thought the presentation did a really great job at highlighting how important it is to be aware of what you're comparing and the size of that lens. So when they were looking at maternal mortality rates, when you compare the US to other high income countries, it looks really bad. But when you compare it to low income countries like Ethiopia in the presentation, the mortality rates in the US are not bad at all. While each of these countries, both the US and Ethiopia, still have problems for sure, and they both need to be addressed, the scope with which we were looking at this data through really changes the severity of it. And so I think it's just important that we keep that in mind in our own careers when we are doing our own research and when we are looking at other people's research. And I just thought that was really a good point. Another thing that I thought was really interesting was when we looked at the amount of money that the US spends on healthcare, and it's focused on treatment. And we kind of see that there again with older age groups. They take up the majority of healthcare costs in our country. And so I think that just kind of reinforced what was earlier said in the presentation. And so overall, I think it was really interesting, and I think there were a lot of really great points. So my three main takeaways were, first, that we need to focus on the true causes of health in people and not just treating or getting rid of the disease. So really we need to focus on those upstream factors. And then the second takeaway I had was that each health issue is really complex, and we need to focus both on our values and the data. So when I say our values, I mean, what is the public interested in? What do they care about? And those social factors and how that also plays a part in people's health. Not just, we can look at this data, we see this as an issue. We need to know, like, what issues does the public care about, and that will really help inform how we go about preventing or even treating diseases. And so the third takeaway I had is we cannot isolate ourselves from the issues, and we can't just focus on one cause. We need to address all the causes to really get at the root of the problem. So overall, I think the presentation was really great. I enjoyed listening to it.